Good evening, everybody, and welcome along to One Hub Racing. This is season number 18. We are at the second half of the season, and we head to the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalonia, for the Spanish Grand Prix, a track which has hosted many testing venues for many years now due to its variety of slow and fast corners and long straights. I wonder how it will affect the drivers tonight. My name is Jess, and joining me as per usual, I've got Matt, also known as Indecisive Mackie. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm really good. I'm definitely looking forward to this one, and I'm buoyed by my not indecisive performance earlier tonight in the prospect here, but it's good to be here, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing maybe another championship change at the top.
Yeah, the championship is very, very close at the moment between Netsky and Larkin. We'll talk a little bit about that later on. But before that, we'll talk a bit about the track. 4.655 kilometres long, and it has 16 turns, 7 to the left, 9 to the right, and it has 2 DRS zones. We've got one between turn 9 and 10, and one at the start, finish straight. And it's a clockwise track direction this week. And we got the 3 compounder tyres in use. The C3s, which are the softs, they last 9 laps. The C2s, the mediums, which last 16 laps. And the hards, which is the C1s, last 21 laps. So it's going to be harder to make your soft last distance due to its optimum pace and tyre wear. But I'm sure the drivers can make do what they will this week. But it's going to be a hard strategy for the drivers, as we found out in Prospect earlier. But it's all going to be about adjusting on the fly potentially and being good on the strategy.
Yeah, definitely. It's always good to have something else in your locker, especially around this track, because you never know when a safety car is going to be deployed. A virtual safety car could happen. If you're going past the pits at a virtual, the best time to pit for you as well. But there's going to be a few drivers out there like Clark who's definitely doesn't enjoy this track. It doesn't suit his strengths, but his tyre wear is going to be through the roof. It's a recipe for disaster, and Calzo and Conzo are happy enough. They are hoping to score points, and although Calzo's using a new television, I believe. Ooh. So will that help? Will that hinder? We don't know yet. He's maybe not used to the pixelation, but in any event, that's definitely a thing to watch out for. Yeah, it's all go. When it goes off at this track, it all goes off.
Exactly, and Calzo is actually his third race of the season. In his first race, he actually scored a podium. The second race last week for him, it was where he's expected to be, and he's already setting low expectations for himself. I do not know why. Usually when he sets low expectations, he usually tends to perform well. So I wonder that's what he's doing. He's probably doing a Lewis Hamilton-esque type of expectation. Nah, the Red Bulls or something like that is going to beat me, or anything like that, or maybe the McLarens in his sake. I'm just going to be bringing up the rear, but that's definitely not the case because his pace is usually quite good around this track.
Yeah, I mean, it's some of these guys, I don't know how good they are around this track, but it's the right place to find out, I suppose. But yeah, it's got all the ingredients in the pre-race for a classic, and let's just wait and see what the weather does. Will that spice it up a bit?
Exactly. And before we head to the qualifying, we may as well go through the drivers and constructors standings. And I'm going to leave it all over to you this week, Matt.
Yep, thank you for that. It's always an honour to do this for everyone. And Netsky is leading the way now after last week by a point with 53 from XL Larkin, who's on 52. Then Vienna, after last week, is up to third with 43. And the defending champion, Likitu, had a shocker last week, down in fourth with 40 points. Glock is in 5th with 36, and then you have Jules on 34, Tom Hart a point behind on 33, Rafa 29, 28 for Khalifa, 25 for Toxic, Noah has 20, Arnold has 19 after last week's Driver of the Day worthy performance. I guess he likes the rain, so if it rains, could see another one from him tonight. Calzo 19, Josh 13 points, as is Conzo in 15th, and then you have Cliffy, Kyle on 8 and 4 respectively, and then J. Luke, Fatality and Chris round out with 2, 2 and 1 respectively, and the constructors, Renault lead with 98, Alfa Romeo have 79, a point ahead of Mercedes on 78, Ferrari on 68, McLaren 65, Red Bull 41, 35 for Racing Point, 24 points to Williams in 8th, Haas on 9th with 22, and AlphaTauri is struggling somewhat, just on the 6 points there at 10th.
Okay, so those were your drivers and constructors standings. We'll go briefly of the results from last week as well, with Netski managing to take the win this week, helping his drivers' championship fight. And like you said, Arnold pulling off an impressive performance. He had a great qualifying in the dry, and in the wet he absolutely nailed it. But when it got to the dry conditions, that was where he struggled a bit over Netski. Netski really had the pace, to be honest, last week. Larkin finished in third, back to podium potential. Almost got my Drive of the Day nomination, but he did not. Glock finished fourth last week. Jules finished fifth. Tom R finished in sixth. Konzo finished in seventh. Cliffy, who did very well to get from the back of the grid, in eighth position. Vienna in ninth, and Noah rounds up your top 10 for last week. And we got Fatality and Calzo, your final point scorers. Chris also scored the fastest lap point outside the top 10. Netski inside the top 10. And your Drive of the Day, like Matt said, went to Arnold. And to be honest, we both wanted him to get Drive of the Day, but we could only pick one person each. But if we had to pick one person, both of us would have picked Arnold. But we're riding on board with him right now, actually. Can he keep up his momentum from this week? We'll have to wait and see. Everyone done the soft compounded tyres very, very quickly. I thought some people would have gone on the mediums, but since it is a two-stop strategy here at One Hub Racing, I wonder if they're saving their mediums for the race.
Yep, they are definitely more useful to these drivers in the race, especially if you say you could start 12th, start on the mediums. That could propel you into a podium strategy. We saw a little bit of a mix-up in some of the tiers with the strategy, so let's just see and wait and find out exactly what strategy they go for at the start of this race.
Yeah, there's many drivers that like to go with bold strategies as well, and it could be very interesting if any of the teammates spread any rivalries, like Rosberg and Hamilton, for example. 2016, the infamous collision with both of them that caused both of them to retire from the race. The majority of us remember, and that is what we see the Rosberg meme today, as we remember with him with the fire and stuff like that. So that's where it comes from, I believe. But hopefully that does not happen as well. We've seen Senna versus Mansell 1991. Definitely goes down in history. Max Verstappen actually took his maiden win here in 2016, actually, in Red Bull. Actually, it was his first ever race at Red Bull as well. Will we see a maiden win here tonight for one of these drivers? We'll find out. I believe Arnold actually invalidated his lap time, which is quite common to do around here as well. But, you know, we're going to watch out for some action zones here today. Only 14 drivers, but that doesn't mean we're going to not have some action. Unfortunately, Cliffy could not make it. His brake pedals, unfortunately, decided to go bust at the moment. So he's going to get some new ones. Hopefully, he'll be back next week. It's a shame he's not here this week, but he is missing for good reason. Vienna is not here either. Neither is J-Look. I can't remember who else is missing, but those are the three I know on top of my head that are missing tonight. 2 times on the board so far. Tom with a 114.3. Noah with a 114.7. And Larkin with a 14.8.
Yeah, and a couple of points just to catch up. I know Toxic's not here either. I remember seeing that earlier in the chat. And just while you mentioned rivalries, the stewards office is not really a place for drivers to start that. So that should only be used for submitting a report or video clip. And remember, between the pit entry, just always make sure to adapt to the situation. A car could be going a little bit slower than you possibly might be able to, so just keep an eye out for that, especially at this track. It's a little bit of a tricky one. As
Calzo spun in the exit turn 4 there, and he's binned it in the wall. So that's not good as he heads approaching turn 5 and 6 now. That is not ideal, considering he wanted points this race. It is not looking like he's going to get points if he makes spins like that as well. And we're going to keep on the topic of rivalries, actually. There was 2 that were in the rivalries this week. None of them actually responded, which was a bit of a shame. But we're still going to go through anyway what they would have said. Vienna and Chris were in a otherwise avoidable collision last week, granted in tricky conditions, but there was a pile-up that occurred as well. The questions that were asked for, Chris said, was asked, will Vienna be practicing his pit entries this week to avoid a repeat? And Vienna was asked, will Chris not learn to be too keen to start a race this and in future weeks? None of them are here tonight, but what I would have said, I think Vienna should have been definitely practicing. And for Vienna's response on Chris, he should take a caution into turn 1 because the race is not over in lap 1. There's still like 33 laps of this race to complete, and you don't want to go big in your boots, really. You've got to take it cautious because you never know what could happen. But shame you're not here tonight, though. But that was what was brought up in the rivalries.
Yeah, and I think the other question was regarding to readying up on the grid as well, because we've had a lot of that this season in all tiers, and I really don't know why drivers can't get it, that you're not supposed to do that. But anyhow, just one other quick note of the action zones tonight. You see, you imagined it earlier in turn 1. It's going to be explosive off the start, and somehow there weren't more casualties early in Prospect. It was a bit of a messy start, but everything worked out in the end. But it is one of the trickier ones to overtake, so that's, I guess, why people think they should go for it. Lap 1, turn 1. They don't have to, and of course, turn 7, you need the crucial traction in the tricky acceleration zone off the exit, and especially through turn 8. Getting a good exit there is crucial if you want to carry on good speed through 9. And of course, into turn 9, it's the high-speed right-hander, which is all about commitment, as you see Conzo there, which I'm on board with now, as he brogs through the DRS straight into turn 10. And if you get it wrong, the gravel rate's on the left, and at best costs you a lot of time, but at worst it could rip a wheel off your vehicle very quickly. So yeah, I just wanted to clear some things up, as some people are just abusing the Stewards Report chat to talk about incidents. And of course, there's a necessary template you need to follow as well, otherwise that will not get looked at if you do not follow it.
Yes, indeed. There was a few people that I think got caught out in not submitting the right template as well, especially Position. But we're not Position, we're Pinnacle. I think they behaved a bit more in Pinnacle than the likes of Position, of course. I'm trying to find someone on a lap, actually. We'll probably go on board with Lakeith's in the middle of his lap, so let's not go on board with him. But interestingly, I was on board with Conzo. He was on 2 laps on the soft, so maybe he invalidated 1 lap, I don't know. I experienced that in the Prospect here, where I invalidated 1, went to go out again, and then invalidated the other one. So that's probably what Conzo was doing. He probably had as bad luck as I did as well. I'm just going to see if anyone's on the lap on the soft compounder tyres, which he is. So let's go on board with Caldo, as we take you on board a hot lap around this beautiful circuit. He hasn't set a lap though yet, so this is going to be his first lap on the board. So 75 metres before the corner of turn 1, really throw the car into the corner here. You should be steadily building up your speed heading towards turn... And he's invalidated. Why do I always go on board with someone and then they invalidate their lap? I'll see if I can go on board with someone else who was about to start a lap. Let's go on board with Glock, actually. I know he's on the mediums, but he goes past turn 3 now. Go on the fossil through 3. On the way to turn 4, make sure your car is once again as close to be at the edge of the track on your left, and then move to the right apex a little bit. Brake just before the large white box behind the barriers disappears for turn 5. Aim for that left apex and head to 3rd gear here. Keep as tight as line as you can, heading towards the X into 6, and then brief downhill charge towards 7. You're heading towards turn 8 and 9. Aim for that right apex to get the best possible turn in. I find it difficult around here. I won't be surprised if these drivers find it hard as well. DRS zone here as well. Past it into turn 11 and heading in towards 12. 11 is kind of like a kink, really. You can't really class the corner, but you are putting some turn in, so that is why it's classed as a corner. Heading towards the final penultimate corners, which is quite hard, and if you lose time here and get held up, as I found out in Prospect earlier, it could cost you time. Glock comes across the line now. What is it going to be his lap time on the medium tyres? A 1:15.2. That's not too bad for him so far, but expect to see a lap time on the soft for Glock at the moment.
Yeah, and Arnold just beat him with a 15.1, also on the medium, so they are looking to switch up the strategy, especially Arnold. If he qualifies there, will be able to start on the mediums, which could, in theory, give him a huge advantage towards the end. And there's always a possibility of a traffic jam in a final sector, as you alluded to earlier. It is. I was lucky to avoid it earlier, but my teammate wasn't quite so lucky, and I think that's why I managed to out-qualify. But hey ho, well, let's get back to right now, as I'm just filtering through to see if anyone's about to start a lap.
Yeah, I think quite more people are actually starting a lap right now with 7 minutes to go, but they're calling it fine at the moment too, because then they'll have to come into the pits and then get in their final set of the soft tyres. They will be probably getting 3 runs in. I think that's what most people have been doing in the other tiers as well. And the TAS bot is now live, so if you want to find out how your favourite driver is doing, you can type !help in the chat. You can find out about their fastest lap, their last lap, position in the championship, and when it comes to the race, you can find out how many stops they've done, how many penalties they've got, and their best laps too as well. So a very useful tool. We're also using it as commentators to have a look at in terms of fastest sectors and if they got damage in the race. Unfortunately, you can't see in the chat if they got damage or not. We'll have to look for that. But speaking of lap times, Netski with a 1:13.6. He is fastest in every single sector. He's on a charge. There's been a few races where he has been unlucky, but last week he got very, very lucky and had some good pace at the end in Austria. Maybe this is where the start of his season really begins. Maybe he could fight with Lakitu, because Lakitu had a really poor showing last week. Lakitu was actually on the cold list last week, which was not really a surprise. I kind of predicted that he was going to be on the cold list this week. It isn't often a reigning defending champion can be considered cold, but he is tumbling down the order. Didn't score last week, struggled in the rain, and has lost his championship lead. And the question is, can he bounce back, or will the pressure of being a potential 2-time back-to-back champion be too much to overcome? Janel managed to be back-to-back champion, and so did Louis. So I wonder if Lakitu is feeling the pressure a little bit, or potentially getting a championship 2 seasons in a row.
Yeah, it's certainly quite a steam list he could potentially be joining, but he has to sort out his form and quickly, because I think if he has another bad race, he's going to have a very uphill battle with just a handful of races remaining. This would be round 6, so he's only got 7, 8, 9 and 10 after this one to improve his standings. So very good tracks for him to do that, as I'm seeing a lot of alternate lines being used right now, and where the chicane used to be. That's quite a strange thing to see, but yeah, I'm looking forward to the battle. And can he, as the media quite predicted, can he bounce back, or will the pressure get to him? Because he knows the company he'll be in if he can do it. But let's just wait and see till the end of the season for that one.
Yeah, I think there's a few drivers in other tiers as well that started off very well at the beginning of the season, but their form has really dropped off a bit, and it may be due to the pressure. There may be other drivers that have been practicing a lot harder than them as well, and that alludes to a question that they've been asked in the pre-race interviews. How much practice have these drivers been putting in? And majority of people, actually all the drivers that were asked it, they hardly put any practice in. Calzo said no point in practicing, as he's quite far off in the Drivers' Championship charge, and unless there's setup changes to be made, but we are at the end of the cycle on the game, which is still understandable. Glot usually tends to practice to check his setup and changes, but not very much. Netski only practices a bit less, but he has some laps in his front pocket, so I hope I'll end up the same way as last weekend. Well, if you only put a bit of practice and you tend to do well, then maybe you should do that. But in some tiers, if you put less practice in, that is the cost of you getting a good result to you getting a bad result. Most people that don't practice get bad results. So again, we shall have to wait and see on that front.
Yeah, I think it's all about the individual, how much they practice. If you over-practice, you're feeling slightly fatigued or tired or mentally drained for the race, so you don't have a good showing. And of course, if you under-practice, you can't adapt to situations that are happening. So I think there's a fine line for everyone, and we all have our preferences, and we all have our own way to get ready for races, and this tier is no exception to that. And Arnold has switched from the mediums to the softs now. So I'm going to go watch him, and you can just keep everyone up to date with the other people.
Yeah, I think Glock's on the mediums as well. Yeah, softs as well. Yes, he is, but he goes into the pits and he almost hit the wall there. Luckily, if he's in qualifying at the moment. If it was in the race, that would have damaged his front wing, and that would have lost a lot of time. So majority of people are in the pits. The only drivers are out at the moment is Kyle and Noah and Khalifa. Khalifa doesn't want to start on the softs, it looks like. He wants to go onto the medium compounder tyres. I would have thought he would have saved a set of mediums for the race, because it looks like the majority of people will be doing 2 medium stints in the race, but I'm guessing if he's not happy with it, he'll probably back out anyway. So we'll see what he can do. Down in 14th at the moment, the only driver yet to set a lap time, but we'll see what he could do on the mediums. That's probably why he's probably gone for the gamble. We saw what Cliffy did last week with the alternate strategy. It worked well for him, so I wonder if he's taking a leaf out of Cliffy's book.
He could well be, but as you say, that Arnold's just popped it into P5 with a 14.4 on the soft, so he's definitely up for this one. I think last week's given him that much needed confidence boost that he was searching for. But yeah, a tricky one on Khalifa. He keeps trying the undercut and it's still not working, so I don't know if he's going to try something different today or if he's just going to get a feel for how the car feels out there on mediums with possibly full fuel load, which is what some people do in other tiers. Let's just check that. No, he's not fueled up, but he's definitely possibly doing an installation up to see where the grip is.
Yeah, I think a majority of people in their first few laps really are finding the track limits. That's why probably most people were invalidating, and then on their final laps, that's where they really going to start to push it at the moment. Jules has unfortunately retired from the session. He had enough, but everybody else is either on their out laps or going again. Netsky, however, who's currently on pole, he's very happy with his lap apparently, so he's pretty confident doing a Mercedes style. Well, he's in a Mercedes anyway. He has decided to stay in and think that everybody else is not going to beat him. But if I were you, I'm going to keep a close eye on Lakitu, who's in third. Maybe Tomar as well, who's in P2 as well, because they are going to get the lowest amount of fuel now. Netsky probably would have gone on for their laps earlier on as well. So I'm a bit worried. There's some people that set their quickest laps earlier on in the session, and that could hinder them because that could give everybody else a little bit of data reading, and they could be like, hang on, how could I gain in this sector? How could I gain in this sector? So probably a bit of a mistake from Netsky, but he's one of the top drivers here. Someone's gone off. That's Lakitu. That is the one, our cold driver this week. The pressure is definitely getting to him, and he's hit the wall, so he's not going to get pole position today. He was looking very, very quick indeed as well. What a shame for him, but everybody else is on a lap, and I have to say, a massive shout out to Fatality, who goes into the pits, who's not saying a lap. He's got his first points last week. He had a streak of getting no points in a row in 4 rounds, but after last week he got P11, which is 2 points, which is better than having no points, I guess. So well done to him. I think a lot of drivers were happy with that. Unfortunately, Lakitu has retired from the session. Let's see who is about to come across the line. We got a McLaren of Larkin, who finished P3 last week, is looking to carry on his podium streak. It was almost an invalidation. He's come in. I don't think it was going to go even quicker, so that was unfortunate. We got a Alfa Romeo of Glot. There's a few people that only have one car running this week, so it is easier to follow the cars. But here we go. Glot to the line. He set his fastest lap on the mediums. What is his lap time going to be on the softs? Well, one way to find out. It's going to be a 1:14.7. Only puts him 10th fastest. We've got someone has spun it again. Tom has done almost the same mistake as Lakitu there, but a different place. Carl, unfortunately, has invalidated his lap time. He wasn't very happy. So, looked like Netsky's confidence has probably paid off. He went into the pits thinking no one else could beat him. He was right. Netsky has taken pole position, and I'll let you go through the qualifying standings.
Well, he was right, but I think he's got in their head because 3 drivers could have beaten him. They just found a wall instead. Anyway, Netsky starts from pole. Tomar in second, Ferrari, Lakitu in third, Haas of Noah in fourth. Then you have Kyle in the AlphaTauri in fifth, Calzo sixth, Josh seventh, Arnold, Larkin and Glock round out the top 10. And free choice of tyres for Konzo, Fatality, Jules, Khalifa outside the top 10. So look for them to do something alternate in the race.
Yeah, they're most likely either be doing medium, soft, the alternate strategy runners, or potentially medium, soft, medium, which can be done, but you want to be really fast at your middle stint and pray that nothing else bad happens in the race. So we're about to go into the session. We don't know what the weather is in the race. We don't ask the drivers, unlike some other tiers. We like to keep it a surprise, and it's good that no one in the chat says, oh, it's going to be a such and such race. So it is a nice surprise for all of us, I think. And it's a nice sunny day here at Catalonia, which is to be expected because it is in, when Spain usually has their races, it's quite sunny. Apart from obviously the real life race a few weeks ago where it was absolutely cloudy. But before we head to the race. Matt is going to take us through our six sponsors, partners, and collaborators.
Yep, thank you, Jess. And I'm just keeping an eye on the naughty engine, see if anyone's going to pull a fatality from earlier in the season. Anyway, you have Liam RBS, who sponsors all the trophies for our winners, first, second, and third. And you have Next Level Racing, who's given a sim rig to the winner of the giveaway. And then next up, we have Vespertine, who's our partner, and that's Khalifa ready up, so that's fine there. And fourth is Time to Print 3D, who give you a discount if you enter the code. I think it's called OneHub, and that gets you 20%, I think, off the track that we're currently racing around. So this would be Spain. And the fifth, 3M, give a pair of gloves to the winner of the most pole positions and the most fastest laps of the season. And the ERT Going Gets Tough award.
Thank you very much. You always get that with good timing as well, which is good to see as well. Did you see anyone that readied up too early? Or were they all...
No, it was all Khalifa, yeah.
Oh, brilliant. So second week in a row, that's good as well. So Fatality has learned his lesson from the first 4 races. So that's good to see. And he's in there currently. Scully would be in the points if the race were to end like that, but I'm not going to jinx anymore. So top 10, obviously they start qualified on the softs. They're going to be on the softs. People outside the top 10, apart from the exception of Khalifa, who obviously did his lap on the means, everybody else and we qualified on softs, they decided to go onto the medium compounder tyres, which is to be expected. In the other tiers, pretty much a majority of people, apart from a fair few, you included, I believe, started on the softs. A majority of other people started on the medium tyres, which is to be expected. I would have liked to seen a few people going on the soft to see how it would have been outside the top 10, but they probably would have got held up with the dirty air, as I found out in Prospect earlier. If you get caught up in the dirty air, it's not good, and it could send you up into a spin in the gravel trap, which I did twice in the same corner, which ended my chance for points. But oh well, at least I've learned. So keep an eye on those corners today as well. But quite a few predictions, I would say, in terms of the race win. Netski, I think, has the most to gain for this situation. His nearest championship rivals are either not here tonight or are nowhere to be seen. Larkin with P9, Vienna not here, and Lakita in P3. So Lakita is nearest rival, and they're still quite close in the championship as well. So Vienna will probably drop after this race, but we'll see what the others do. Who's your prediction on to win this race before we start?
It's got to be quite a few drivers will be up there. You're going to have to expect Lakitu to bounce back after last week. He wouldn't be happy with that. And of course you have Neski and Lakitu from last season as well. Ground it out to the final race of the season. Could we have a repeat there? But I think Arnold probably found his form. I'm going to go for him. He's in a good position. Starts 8th. He's on the soft tyre. So I think he could have a great start. I don't see why he couldn't win the race. Go on better than last week.
Yes, indeed. We're about to start then as Khalifa takes the final grid slots. We're at the second half of the season. Who's going to get a good result today? The 5 red lights are on. Netski on the right, Tomar on the left. And we are underway. Netski gets a very good start. Tomar does as well. Lakitu also having a very good start as they make their way towards turn 1. Look at Kalzo, actually, who's made us all the way up into P4 as well. He's about to overtake Noah down the inside into turn 2. Can he quite make it stick? No, he cannot. Actually, he does make it stick. Gets past and someone's made contact. There's a Haas spinner. It's not a Mazda spin, unfortunately, but it is Noah that spin. Arnold as well has spun as well. Matt's prediction has probably gone down the drain now, unfortunately, but everyone else has made his way through cleanly so far. Glot tries to make it around the outside of Car by looks of things, heading towards turn 5, heading towards turn 6 and 7 now. Can he hold it? Yes, he can. Glock is up into 6th position, but the top 3 remained unscathed. Noah had a poor start, so did Arnold. And Calzo made his way up into P4.
Yep, poor start explained. Arnold and Larkin have a broken wing. 12% for Arnold and 25% for Larkin. So perhaps Larkin may well decide to pull in and change strategy with that damage. I think Arnold can probably cope with that. And I'm not really sure what happened to involve Noah there, but he didn't get any damage at all after his spin. So look for the pit lane to start getting busy early on.
I think it may have just been the dirty air that caught him as well, which was a bit unfortunate. But turn 1 and 2, not really easy corners, really. If you do not nail it, then it could cost you. As DRS is not enabled yet, and we're not on that lap 3. It's just the timing tower glitching on us again as well. But it is Netski that's pulling away quite considerably from Tomar as well. Don't forget, Tomar got his first win early on in the season. He made the jump from position tier last season to the top tier this season. He's performing quite well, 7th in the standings at the moment. P2 on the road as well, but he's got a chasing Lakitu right behind him that really wants to have a little bit of a sniff, but there are hardly any overtaking spots around here, so it's going to be tricky as well. And you really don't want to be close enough to another car to cause you into a spin at the moment, as Arnold goes on to the medium compounder tyres, and he's probably going to go on to the hards later on in the race. Larkin does exactly the same. Noah stays out on the softs because he hardly has any damage so far. Let's look at the biggest gainers actually so far this race, and I'll get you up on your screen so you can see it. So we got Khalifa that's gained 5 positions, and we got Conte that's gained 3, Fatality and Jules gained 2, as well as Josh and Calzo. Clock has gained 4 as well. Carl has dropped down 2. Biggest losers Noah and Arnold dropped down 8 and 6 positions respectively, and Larkin has dropped down 4 positions. The top 3 remained where they are so far. Lakitu's gained about 5 tenths over Tomar now, so he's going to get the DRS on him as well. Tomar does not have any DRS to Netski, unfortunately, so it could be an easy pass for Lakitu. We'll have to wait and see.
It could be, but there's no such thing as an easy pass around this track. It's very, very tricky, and you have to wait and pick the perfect moment, because if you try and force an overtake, that is going to send 2 cars into the barriers. But I think for now, we're just going to have a fascinating battle of chess between Lakitu and Tom, and possibly Calzo, because he's going to get the DRS as well, although he had a little bit of a slog coming out of turn 10 there, but he managed to save it. So, yeah, DRS is now enabled. Thank you, game, for lying the previous lap. But yeah, this is started off quite well for some of these drivers, and especially Lakitu.
Oh, Calzo spin it in the wall, the same place that Lakitu spinned it in qualifying, unfortunately. That was very, very bad. He was running so well in 4th position, and I'm sure he'll have to pit for a new front wing. Let's look on Taz to see what damage, full 100% damage to his right front wing, unfortunately, which is absolutely frustrating for him. He was doing brilliantly as well. I said Calzo was going to do well this week, and unfortunately the commentator's curse struck once again. But meanwhile, his teammate Tomar is under threat from Lakitu once again. We saw Khalifa made his way past Jules. Khalifa's had a impressive start again, up into P8 already as well. Not that far behind Konzo, so I won't be surprised if Khalifa makes a move anytime soon as Konzo's out of DRS. Calzo, yeah, does go in to the pit lane as I get the tyres up again. Yes, he is on the hard compound tyres, which is not very a good position to be in, because the hards are an absolute nightmare around here. But in some situations, it could be pretty good. Much better than some other tracks like France, where if you go on the hards there, it could be an absolute nightmare. Same with China too. But Spain, not too bad, but can still be really understeery depending on setup.
Yeah, definitely. I think some of the issues of understeer could be related to setup, but of course some of it will be will make your car behave very strangely. I'm just checking all the warnings. You have Konzo and Jules have 2 warnings, so they need to be a little bit more careful with regarding track limits, otherwise they will get infringement warnings and penalties, which could cost them at the end. And here we have Khalifa going for the overtake down the main straight, has the DRS open and makes it very, very comfortable. I know I said a couple of laps ago there's no such thing as an easy overtake, but DRS makes it look easier.
Yeah, definitely as well. Well, Konzo did not have DRS, Khalifa did, so Khalifa had the raw pace over Konzo, and it looks like it due to his lap times at the moment, so it was to be expected as well. And look at that, in-game he set purple, set to 1, so it looks like the softs are starting to die out a little bit. The crossover point out, I presume, is now, so the memes that have been on for the start of the race is probably a lot faster than the softs which have been on since the start of the race too. The optimum pace time is around about between 5 to 7 laps. Even though the graphic you saw earlier, it said the softs can last 9 laps, that's not really optimum pace. You really want to be pitting between lap 5 to 7 in order to see the true impact, really. Some people will potentially be going for the undercut as well, as we'll see how Khalifa does as he tries to potentially close up the clock in the next couple of laps. Netsky has proved my theory perfectly as he goes into the pits. Tomar follows him in. Will Nikita do the same? Yes, he does, and Glock does as well. So the first time this season that all the people that started on the softs that have pretty much been damage free have all followed each other at the same time. Looks like no one wanted to be damaged by the undercut.
Yeah, no, definitely not. And I think the graphic on screen is referring to tyre life of fresh softs, and of course most of these drivers did at least one lap in qualified, so that would minimise the window a little bit. But if they put them on with about 7 laps to go, they would probably make it towards the end of the race. So it's always good to get off to a good clean start, especially if you're one of the lead cars. And as we stand, Netsky is the net leader, as people ahead of him have not stopped yet, but they won't for a while.
Yeah, around about, I would say, lap 12 to 14 would be the potential pit stop for the first lot of the medium compounded tyres to go on to another set of mediums, or maybe someone would take the gamble and go for another set of softs as well. Who knows, maybe there may be a lucky safety car that may help them with a free stop a little bit as well, but that's what they got to do is, again, like we said, if the late safety car does come into play, they've got to have strategies in their head. Right, what would I do if a safety car came at this point? What would I do? They got to work out when the softs can last from, when the mediums can last from until the end of the race. That is just a consideration, as we're potentially could be seeing some more battles, but with them being around 7/10 down the road, with how close this series, I don't think there's going to be any passes at this moment in time. And we're going to see Josh as well, who's Josh, I think, pitted a lap earlier than everybody else, and Josh did the undercut on Glock perfectly, so Josh did amazing. Now, unfortunately, couldn't get past Nikita and Tom, but Nikita and Tom, the gap was a little bit increased a little bit as well, so Josh, fair play to him. He's fallen under the radar in the last few weeks as well, which was a bit unfortunate, but maybe this week where he can turn the tide a little bit, get some decent points out there as well as we head towards lap 7. I think we're not going to see much battles happening at the moment. It's just going to be people finding their feet until the pit stop phase happens once again.
That's definitely a part of it. But I did see Josh pit in the background the lap before. I was checking the damage, but he didn't have any. So I think that was pretty much a tactical decision. And for now, it's definitely paid off for him, as he got the undercut on some of the drivers around him. So that's a good move. Nikita in 7th, though, chasing and Harry and Tom are trying to make a move. He lost the rear a little bit in a tricky position of the track, especially in the dirty air, but you come down to the final chicane there. It's not the final corner, I call it the final chicane, and that's the final corner. It's a bit of a king. I don't know if you can call it a corner, but anyway, he's going to open the DRS, and Tom goes to the other side of the track to break the toe, which could be crucial in this move. Will he get it done before turn 1? No, he will not. Tom R defends successfully on this occasion.
Fair play to Tom R as well. You probably wouldn't be expecting him to do it because Nikita is so much faster, but due to the lack of overtaking opportunities, that's really what's helped him as well. Remember what happened in Monaco many years ago with Lewis Hamilton's old medium tyres. We thought that he was never going to make it to the end, but he managed to hold off Max Verstappen in a huge charge as well. So I wonder we're going to see exactly the similar situation here as well between Tomar and Nikita. And there's Netsky running away with as well. He's probably happy with the battles going on behind him. He wants to probably keep it up, thank you very much as well. But we shall see what happens. I don't think Nikita is close enough to get Tomar in on this occasion, but on the final corner where he's had probably good cornering speed may help him a little bit. That's where he's gaining as well, heading towards turn 11 and 12 now, where they go as well. Noah 5/10 behind Calzo as well. Two of them that got caught up in their own instance. Calzo, unfortunately, with that spin earlier in turn, I can't remember what turn it is. It looked like the edge of turn 14, 15 it looked like, unfortunately. Meanwhile, looks like Jules and Konzo are having a little bit of a battle. This is 4th position. No drivers are on penalties at the moment, but it is hard to get a penalty around it. I'll check to see if any drivers are on warnings, because with the task system, you can actually check to see if they're on warnings. Khalifa's penalty free and warning free at the moment. Joy's on 2 warnings as well as Calzo. Fatality on 1, Netsky's on 1, Tomar's on 1, Nikita's on 2, Josh's on none, and then we got everybody else on 1 warning apart from Arnold. Arnold on 2 warnings. So people on 2 warnings, they've got to be careful before risking a penalty, but there may be some drivers that only got 1 warning due to the fact that they collided, so they're allowed 1 extra warning due to that front. But we shall see, of course, as Khalifa still leads on track, but it is Netsky who is your net race leader over Tomar in 2nd position.
Yep, that's exactly as we stand. And I noticed the previous time around, Tomar went to the right of the track again, and Lakitu didn't follow him. I'm not sure why he's doing that, because he could get a little bit more of a drag, and that could potentially get Lakitu the overtake into turn 1. But we'll see if he does it this time around, as he is closer than he's been before, at least from my screen and timing terms. And this time Tom stays to the left, he doesn't go to the right, he doesn't break the toe, and this should be Lakitu ahead into turn 1. Both late on the brakes, and there's a little bit of contact side by side, but yeah, just about squeezed through there. Got his elbows out and realised he's got a championship to fight for, and he's got through, and let's just see if he can stay ahead now.
That was a champion's move right there. That was absolutely fantastic. Tom had the right to defend there into turn 1, but the key 2 was like, see you later, my friend, as Hulkenberg was saying. It looked like Tom was going to go for the move into turn 5 there, but he did not as well. Didn't want to cause too many incidents, of course. And I'm sure Tom knows that he is still in this championship fight more than anything, and quite a lot of people still in this championship as well, even with 5 rounds to go. And after tonight, it'll be 4 rounds to go as well. And don't forget, if any of these drivers up front have a bad race, Tom ours could be there for the taking, and he could be the one that could be challenging for the title in his first ever season in the top tier. So we'll have to wait and see, of course. Now it's Tomar that's on the attack, but Tomar's going to have the DRS, whereas Lakitu does not. Josh is in this train, so is Glock potentially as well in a few attempts time as well. Let's see what Tomar could do. He's got the DRS this time. Can Lakitu defend for his life? We'll have to wait and see. Tomar takes the shortest run to the line possible. He covers over to the inside into turn 1. Does it with ease by the looks of things, and Lakitu is not challenging that. One Bix, he knows that Josh is right behind him on the attack as well. Lakitu thought he could be having a dominant race. He's actually challenging for potential podium positions as well, and maybe that's what Lakitu wants. But to be honest, if you want to win a championship, you've got to be consistent, and even though he had 1 bad race, he's keen to carry on in a good light and get some podiums. But ideally, he wants to be challenging for wins, not podiums, and he's nowhere near at the moment with his rivals Netsky at the front. But his other rivals are behind him, so there's nothing to worry about at this moment in time, apart from maybe Tom R potentially. But we've got our first penalty of the session, and that is Jules picking up a 3-second time penalty, as well as Arnold as well.
Yeah, it's worth keeping an eye on in the TAS, and it's like earlier in Prospect, I was trying to work out the gap where I could potentially pit and have clear air, so I was always checking the minimap, checking the gaps around me, and if the car behind was gaining by more than, say, 2/10 a lap, I'd be like, these tyres are gone. So I boxed, and I think some of these drivers are trying to work that out now, but you could always get some time back at the end with these penalties if they start to rack up as well. But Lakitu does not manage to get back past on this occasion. He does get a 3-second penalty though, and that could be key come the end.
Yeah, exactly. We've seen in many races in the Pinnacle tier, in particular Belgium as well, which could decide someone's race as well. Unfortunately, Arnold picked up a penalty last week, which probably stopped him from taking the win of the race as well. But it was still a good fight nonetheless last week as well. Unfortunate that he's having a bad race this week, but we still got 4 races to go of this championship. It can swing by in any direction as well, apart from if you're the likes of Chris potentially, who is only on a singular point that may not be in a championship fight. You will probably need to have a lot of good races with everyone else DNFing in quite a few of them, which is not going to happen, of course. So, you know, you got to pick your own battles at the end of the day, and this is what these drivers are doing. Watch out for maybe the next lap or in a few laps time for people to pit. And as I said that, Jules and Konzo does pit, and it's not Khalifa that does the undercut this time. It's the other drivers around him. I'm quite surprised.
Well, like the media called a few weeks ago with Khalifa, the undercut doesn't work anymore. Try something new. I think he's trying that this week, and just want to put my sincere apologies to Arnold out there. I may have jinxed you this week. Sorry, fella.
So did I. So we both could take the blame for that, but you put him as in the media. So yeah, we both share the blame. Meanwhile, Konzo, he's doing a strategy which I don't think I would have done. I think he started on mediums, didn't he? So you do medium, soft, medium, I believe. There's no way you can do medium, soft, soft. There's no way you can get that to the end. So he's taking a gamble. So let's see if that gamble pays off as well. Khalifa has got to respond surely in the pits, because the amount of time lost by staying out an extra few laps is massive around this track. The pit lane loss around here is around about 20 seconds. So Khalifa will be going into the pits very, very shortly. And Netsky will take over the race lead. I'm sure Fatality will probably potentially follow Khalifa in as well, as Jules probably will catch up to the guys that have been on the mediums for quite a bit of laps at the moment. As Khalifa does come into the pits, does Fatality follow him in? No, Fatality stays out. So Khalifa goes on to the mediums tyres, which is to be expected. So he's doing a medium, soft strategy. So let's watch out for... I'm trying to remember what to watch out for, actually. Konzo and who else? I'm trying to see who else pitted. I can't remember, actually. So I think Khalifa's the guy who stayed out an extra lap. It worked wonders for him for a change. So maybe it's time for him to not do the undercut anymore. He tried the undercut, didn't work this season. He's tried staying out an extra lap. It did work.
Yep, it seems to be working for now, but of course, will he revert to type and just panic and go for the undercut later because he wants the soft tyres quicker? Don't know. We'll see later. It's going to be fascinating to find out, but just Fatality is the only one yet to pit for the first time of 2 mandatory stops. And will he do that this time around? I would be pitting if I was him. I wouldn't be lugging these tyres much longer. Well, let's just check behind, as Lakitu and Tomar are going to renew their rivalry into turn 1 presumably, and let's see if either one can get ahead and stay ahead this time around. Well, has Fatality decided no, he's going to stay out, and what do I know? Absolutely nothing apparently. I'm getting it all wrong today, but I'll get something right in a minute, I promise.
Yeah, I think we will, but luckily we are commentators, not racing. They are faster racing us, of course. That's why they're in the top tier and we're in the bottom tier. But anyway, Lakitu gets past Tom I into turn 1. Tom R did not defend that one bit. I don't think he wanted to pick any battles at this moment in time. He just wanted DRS later on. Meanwhile, Jules on his fresher mediums gets past Kyle up into P8 right now. And looking at the tyre wear out of the ones who have made their stops already that been on for since the start of since the very first stints. We're talking Netsky, we're talking Tomar, Josh as well, and Glock and Carl. So we'll keep an eye on that. Netsky's fronts are starting to wear out a little bit, which is to be expected. 43%, now 44% on the front left, and the rear left 40%, and the front and the rear rights on 33%. The key to is doing a little bit better on the fronts, a little bit, but on the rears, he's doing a bit better as well. So Lakitu is managing his tyres a lot more, which can help him towards the end of the race when they go on to another set of the medium compound tyres, which will be very, very soon. Tomar is doing the worst, actually probably equal to what Netsky's doing, which I think is definitely showing because he is pushing to get past Lakitu. So, but he's faring a lot better on his rear left than Netsky is, though.
He is, but I think some of this could be attributed to the conditions. It is a cloudy sky, although it is becoming more and more clear as the laps go by. The air temperature is 25 and the track temperature is 33 degrees, so that is going to be quite warm for the tyres, and that would definitely not be helping their tyre wear rates as it is. But yeah, the guys are doing quite well to manage that on, but it is hard to manage your tyres, your ERS, your fuel. It's the trickiest track, I think, to manage everything effectively. But anyway, Larkin is in the pits again. He's not having a good day today, last week's podium sitter, but Clark could well be on the back of this battle for the top few positions, and he's going to get DRS, but he won't be able to utilise it that much. He's just going to get himself a little bit closer to Josh, who of course has DRS to the back of Tom, and he has it on Lakitu. So we are getting a little bit of a train forming. It's taken 16 laps, but it's about to get a little bit of a bigger train. As you can see, Khalifa is in clear air, so that could benefit him. He could use these a lot better.
Yep, exactly as well, and especially when he closes up to him later on in the race, his fatality finally goes into the pit lane. But speaking on Glock, actually, a lot of the drivers were asked about their realistic chances for this week. Glock was hoping for a top 10 in the race, and anything else is a bonus. Well, at the moment, he's having a bonus right now in 5th position as well. Netsky obviously wants to win. He's currently winning right now. Calzo, obviously we don't want to talk about Calzo. He's down in 10th position, but at the moment, he's going to get points, which is a little bit of a bonus on his eyes. He's on the hard tyres, and he's probably going to pit one more. So he's kind of on a similar strategy to everybody else, and his TV broke yesterday. That's why he had a new monitor as well. And Konzo has not been a good track for him, so he, again, point is goal, which he is at the moment. Arnold is doing his final stop. He's on the mediums, and that will comfortably go to the end of the race from here. It could go pretty much, actually, maybe a bit of a push, but usually I would say end of lap 18. I would say onwards that the mediums could go to the end of the race. But I think Arnold will probably be saving an extra lap of tyre wear, and then he should be absolutely fine. So same with Larkin as well, 13th and 14th as well. We'll see what the others do, of course. Netsky stayed out, so does Lakitu and Tomar. So no one is budging at the moment. Majority of runners will be going on to the memes at the end of the race, apart from if you're the likes of Khalifa, Konzo. Actually, no, Konzo will be going on the memes anyway. So Khalifa and Fatality, and someone has spun. That is Jules, who unfortunately has played victim to the gravel trap of the final corner. Luckily, he is ghosted, so that shouldn't affect other drivers, as Noah just got past him as well. Jules is not having a good race at all as Noah goes into the pits, but yeah, that's just an example of putting on the power too early there as well. He wasn't following another car, so it wasn't a dirty air that cost him a trip to the gravel trap, so he's probably struggling out there.
Yeah, he definitely looks like he's not the only one that looks like they're struggling, but just to touch, who's going to be the quicker brother today, Konzo, or is he going to retain order, or is Calzo going to continue to give him a little bit of a, hey, I'm here too now, what are you going to do about it, kind of thing? But I think it's a friendly, brotherly rivalry. But I'm just very, very invested in this little battle for the final podium spot, because this could go to the final lap, and that is something I'm very much excited for.
I really hope it does go to the final lap, because this is what we obviously want to see at One Hub Racing, of course. And don't forget, we do have a yellow flag, which is probably someone moving out the way. But don't forget, people could get a pair of 3M racing gloves if they get a majority of the fastest laps. So if they get most of the fastest laps out of all 5 tiers, then they will get a pair of sim racing gloves. So a lot to fight for. You get a fastest lap point for inside the top 10, one for outside of the top 10. Both of those count towards your totals, and if you're the one with the most fast lap points at the end of the season, then you will get some gloves as well. Same with pole positions as well. So Netsky will be looking quite pretty as well, as Netsky's had actually, I'm trying to think how many poles he has got. I think it'd probably be his 3rd pole position, so probably up there as well. So we'll have to wait and see, of course. But yeah, the podium spot is going to be very spicy indeed, as Jules unfortunately has retired from the session. Larkin does get past Carl into turn 1 on those fresher tyres as well. That could be a good fight for the final points paying position between Larkin, Carl and Noah, even though they will get points anyway, but penalties may say otherwise, because it doesn't, well, to be honest, if you get points, you want to get as many points as possible, and some points could make the difference on whether you're in the top half of the championship or maybe in the bottom half of the championship, as your leaders, all 4 of them, like they did last time, went into the pits. And Netsky went in, Lakitu followed. Lakitu went in, Tomar followed, etc, etc, etc. So no one wanted to play victim of the undercut, unfortunately, but it helps Khalifa, so I wonder if they would have taken a leaf out of Khalifa's book, but they didn't want to try anything new, as Netsky retained that lead then, and we got Lakitu that jumped Tomar in the pit lane.
Yeah, I'm just checking Taz to see if there's any slight damage as for that to happen, but there doesn't appear to be any, so I think that's just where the garages are potentially, I don't know, but in any event, he has jumped him, and that could do wonders for the rest of his race. But yeah, as Khalifa is enjoying his time at the front, it won't last all that long, but it will go long enough for him to think, yeah, this is what I should have been doing all along. Perhaps the penny's finally dropped for him. Perhaps he's done with the undercuts. We don't know yet, but yeah, there's going on at the back, as well as Kyle is defending from Noah, who's also trying to catch Larkin at the same time. So this race is never over, and every point matters in One Hub Racing. And even if you're not in the points, if you're honoured right now, sorry, again, you could potentially go for fastest lap outside the top 10 for a point as well. So you're never really out of races unless you're in a wall.
That's what I had to do in the last few laps of the race. It did not pay off, but at least it gives the drivers something to fight for, of course. So that's what Arnold will probably be doing as Konzo goes into the pits for a final set of the medium tyres. Clearly, it started on the mediums, went on to softs, and then goes on to the mediums again. So I wonder if that strategy has paid off for him as well. But look at this, Josh versus Tomar. This is going to be very exciting. All of this is allowing Lakitu to pull away in the distance. Tomar did not like being held up by Fatality. That's what was costing him huge amount of time to Lakitu, unfortunately. Same with Josh as well. Even though Fatality was on the soft compound tyres, he will have to pit again anyway for one final stop, because also, again, there's no way that those soft compound tyres would make it to the end of this race then as well. Maybe this is what we've been seeing with Josh all along as well. Josh has been very unlucky as of late, but he's been doing so well that he could be back in this fight. Josh currently sitting in P14 in the standings. If he gets a good result here tonight, he could probably jump high. And don't forget, Lakitu has a 3-second penalty, so he could potentially get P5 after all of this, which will be absolutely astonishing. Actually, P4 actually, because Khalifa will still have to go into the pits. He'll probably be around about lap 26 to 28 for those soft compounder tyres. That's where the softs can go to the end of the race, probably about 6 or 7 laps on the soft compounder tyres. As we've got Calzo in the pits, he's had enough of those hard tyres, and he'll be going on to the medium compounder tyres. So it's just Fatality and Khalifa to make their final stops. Everyone else has made their compulsory 2 stops.
Yep, they have, and yeah, the hard is not a tyre you really want to be running around here unless there's an absolute calamity, and unfortunately it hasn't really worked out for that driver today, but he's still in the race, he's still in the points, and he could well get more with this final stint. So you never know what's about to happen around this track. You could well have some fortune coming your way. You just got to keep out there and just keep chugging away and seeing, as Fatality has just got another warning, and that gives him 6 in total, so he's got 6 seconds of penalties. And I said that in completely the wrong way, but I think you know what I meant.
Yes.
Let's just go back. Let's just go back to the battle for 10th position with Noah, Kyle, Larkin, and Calzo should join that very shortly as his tyres just get in the groove. So this battle is almost as good as a battle for the podiums, and I have no idea who's going to come out in front.
There's battles everywhere as well. That's probably why you got your words twisted as well, as we see quite a few stuff that's going on as well. Here comes Josh on Tomar. Can he make the move this time into turn 1? Nope, he's a little bit too further back to do so for the fight for P4. I think Lakitu's got to find around about 5 tenths or 5-6 tenths or so in order to clear his penalty and be in the podium spot, because otherwise Tomar would get a podium, and that will be very, very happy days for the Renault driver that is looking to score well in the constructors. Renault still leading by 19 points over Alfa Romeo, so with Ferrari not having some good results as of late, and with Rafa missing tonight, probably I think I've heard from some people there may be rumours that Rafa has overslept once again, so that's probably why he's missing the race. Luckily Lakitu hasn't overslept, he's still in this race, and if Lakitu missed this race, then he probably would have been on the coal list for even longer still, as we're on to the potential final bit of this race now. Full guns are blazing for these guys, and Khalifa will probably be passed by Netsky soon in the next couple of corners, because there's no way Khalifa will be fighting that. Khalifa will still have one more stop to make. Calzo has just pitted as well, and he's chasing down Noah, so he could be still on for some solid points today despite the damage he's had earlier on. And with some people getting penalties, he may still go up the order a bit as Noah's had a little bit of a tank slapper in the final corner. This may have hindered him a little bit. Calzo may be probably saying thank you very much in a minute. Noah's also running out of VRS as well. This may help Calzo a little bit. Going to the right-hand side of the track into turn 1 as well, with Noah defending very nicely. I think that his mistake, probably he forgot and he wanted to get the move probably defended on Calzo there as well. Maybe Calzo made a little bit of a mistake as well, but it's a good fighting between these drivers as well. We've got Larkin, Kyle, Noah, Calzo, Conte all in this little train for potential P8 on the grid, on the track after this race. This could be very, very exciting. With Khalifa pitting for the softs, he could also be within this fight as well in the next few laps as well. But Netski is going to get the overtake on Khalifa. Nicely done indeed. No fighting from Khalifa there. Otherwise, he would have been held up there. So Netski is your net race leader and also your race leader on track. He's also picked up no penalties either. So unless he has a big bottle, the race win is definitely his to lose, I think.
It is, but you can never rule Lakitu out. He's always tended to have a slightly better race pace than Netski over the past couple of seasons, so you never really know how that's going to end up. But you have Noah defending from... oh wait, no you don't. I can't read names anymore.
Look at this! We got Calzo trying to go on the attack on Noah. Then they're still going side by side, heading towards turn 3. This is a very understeering moment. Are they going to pull this off? They're going to try at least. Who said you can't overtake there? Well, these two are definitely proving us wrong, and there's contact. So I probably jinxed them once again. So Calzo up into P10. Noah, unfortunately, has gone into a spin, and that is unfortunately an example of how the dirty air could affect badly on the driver as well, plus them getting contact, which is a bit of a shame. That means Arnold gets, at the moment, if it stays like this, Arnold will be getting into the points and he doesn't need to stop again. So that is music to Arnold's ears after a poor race he's been having this week. Khalifa is going into the pits for the fresh, soft tyres. He's going to be on those for 9. Actually, he's going to be on for quite a bit of laps, 7 laps, I believe. So that will go until the end of this race, and Tom Miles picked himself his first penalty, so he's on the same footing as Lakitu, so Lakitu does not need to worry about him picking up, stretching the gap, unless your name is ERT Josh that's probably chasing, and Thomas has gone for a little bit of a spin into turn 5 there. Again, that did not help with them following other cars as well, but that's probably hindered Thomas' chance with a podium. Thomas getting that penalty. This mindset is not going, and he's hit the wall and he's out of the race, and we got a virtual safety car.
Yeah, that's an unfortunate incident, but it's been brewing for the last couple of laps. I was just wondering, when is something big going to happen? And I think if you're honoured, you'd be a little bit annoyed. It's just a VSC, but you can see the stricken car of Tom there on the right-hand side of the track. It's an unusual incident to have, but it's not too uncommon if you are following in the dirty air of another car. But you saw a couple of laps ago a similar incident almost happened, and if you make the driver you're chasing also make a mistake to let him off the hook, and I think that is what happened. And then some drivers tend to overdrive a little bit because they know they've made a mistake, and they try to chase things that aren't necessarily there, and unfortunately whatever happens, we've lost Tama as well. I don't know what happened to him. We've lost Noah, we've lost Jules, we've lost all sorts of... My game's having a moment at the moment. I don't know what's going on, but I know that Netski's still in the lead.
Yeah, Netski is still in the lead of this race so far, and Khalifa on those soft tyres is absolutely flying at this moment in time. So let's see if he can hold it up until the end of this race. The virtual safety car has ended. Not good for fatality though. He was hoping the virtual safety car would last until he comes in, but unfortunately it did not. So he's down in 10th, but again, a place better than last week. And I'm just checking on penalties. He's doing enough to get into... He could be doing enough actually to be still getting more points than last week. He could be on a point streak here. I'm not going to say anything more just in case I jinx him, but that'll be good to be on a point streak as well, just like some of the other drivers in some other tiers as well that's showing us some good form at this moment in time. We've got Kyle still having a tense battle with the likes of Larkin, Calzo, and maybe Conzo potentially as well. Calzo is like the cat with 9 lives at this moment in time. He always had some incidents and somehow he's still back in this fight as well. It just goes to show that you never give up.
No, I think that's what the extra points in this league have done for a lot of drivers, is help them to never give up, because you never know what's about to happen. Like 3 laps ago, you were thinking, Arnold's out of this race, he's not going to get anything, and then all of a sudden he's in the points and he's got a very good opportunity to finish in the top 10, as he has less penalties than Fatality, although Fatality is now on the quicker tyre, but Arnold may well have the pace at the end as those tyres fade off. It's going to be a fascinating battle for me. I don't know about anybody else out there, but this race is just coming alive at just the right time, and I think you may well see a surprise on the podium as well.
I have to say, the Spanish Grand Prix is not exciting in real life, but in terms of league racing, it's absolutely fantastic. Thank goodness it's not raining, because we've seen in the precision tier how dull a wet race can be in terms of overtakes with no DRS, but luckily we're not getting that here. Luckily as well, as Calzo closing up onto Carl with his cornering speed there. Maybe he's chosen a setup which is better cornering speed as well. Maybe he's got a bit of both as well. You've got to get the balance right as well, as Kyle almost had a tank slapper with the dirty air as well, but he caught the car absolutely perfectly. Luckily he had much better car control than I did around that corner, but there we go. Another topic for another day. Meanwhile, Calzo on the back of Kyle once again. He's got plenty of ERS. Carl does not. Carl tries to bait the slipstream. One of them has to back up. It's going to be free ride. Looks like Conzo is backing out as well. Calzo is definitely on the chart at this moment in time on the fresher tyres compared to Kyle. Larking on the older tyre, that's probably why he had to concede as well. Heading towards turn 4 then. Stays behind for now. Kyle has got better straight line speed and its sound, but as Calzo gets to the corners, he's absolutely flying as it heads towards turn 5 now and heading into 6, and potentially could be going side by here, but it could be very, very tricky indeed. Wait until around about turn 9 and 10. That is where we're going to see the moves being made from Mr. Calzo, who's performing better than his brother Conzo right now. So let's see if Carl could defend. Carl is definitely under the radar. Could be on for his best point finish of the season. A few times he's questioned on whether he should even be in the Pinnacle tier. He said, oh, I should be in a lower tier, but definitely he's proving right now he should definitely be in a higher tier. He's been doing very, very well at the moment, and if you have Carl in your fantasy team, which not many people do, you could be on some good points if maybe you can catch up to Khalifa. So we'll have to wait and see, and if you've got Khalifa in your team, you will definitely be scoring some good points sooner or later. Here comes Calzo down to his right-hand side to our left-hand side. Very, very comfortable move from Calzo, and I wonder if Larkin will choose to fight back on Carl now that Calzo got the move on Carl. We'll have to wait and see, of course. We only got a few more laps to go on this race. We'll see how Khalifa does on Glock. Not quite close enough to Glock on this occasion, but still a very impressive P5, which was probably not what he was expecting, but he is doing a Cliffy, of course, though. I wonder if he's going to get more position on this race. I'm just looking at the deltas between the two tyres. It's quite significant between the softs and the medium, 0.6 of a second, but it will start to dip as soon as the soft tyres start to degrade a little bit. So we'll find out if Khalifa's done enough, but still P5 will be an incredible result for him after starting in last position.
Yeah, P5 is definitely a good result, and it still possibly could get more as he still keeps gaining on Glock ever so slightly. You don't know how the tyres are going to hold up. Of course, Khalifa's given it everything to get that all-important extra position, which will do him the world of good for confidence. And Carl behind Calzo has just picked up a penalty there, which is going to give Larkin another position if he can't find a way past on the track. But you mentioned fantasy a few moments ago. Of course, I have Lakitu in my in this division, so he's doing a good job today. He's not quite on the top step, but I think he's doing more than enough to get on the podium, so I'm not going to praise him too much in case I help him into a wall. So let's just watch someone else.
Yeah, let's not say anything more as well. I think Lakitu has definitely earned his place off the cold list, because to be fair, he's not good in the wet conditions. He's in the dry, he's in his element right now as well, and he's absolutely loving it. Even though he should be potentially fine for the win, I think he's getting one position. I think to be honest, as long as he keeps consistent, he should be absolutely fine. And even though Netsky, I believe, if I look at the standings, is leading the championship, the Keto will jump Vienna and Larkin in the standings, which could be a good fight between Nikita and Netsky again. I thought we weren't going to see that this season, but we are going to be seeing it this season potentially as well. And Josh, for a podium position, that could be a good interesting thing on the cards as well. It's good to see also 2 ERT drivers in the top 5, 3 ERT drivers in the top 7.
Yeah, it's and again, ERT doing some wonderful things in most tiers and wonderful things for the league with the sponsorship of the Going Gets Tough award. So thank you again to them. I'm just checking the fastest lap. So Netsky is on for a maximum 21 points at the moment, which would definitely help his championship lead. It would put him on to 74, and if Lakitu stays where he is now, he would jump to second place, but he would be a little bit closer. But I think Netsky does retain a slight increase to his championship lead. I'm not the best at maths at this speed, but I'll keep working on it and I'll get back to you at the end.
Yeah, we'll have a look at that at the end of the race for you, as well as we're going to be heading towards the final lap of this race. Time does fly by when you're having fun as well, and even though Netsky is leading, he's still using his ERS. I do not know why, but he's just showing off at this point. Just save some ERS, for goodness sake. Do some donuts. Only joking, but some shot performances today, some surprises. Remember when we saw Max Verstappen win here in 2016? We're not going to get that huge surprises in terms of the win, but the podium, and we could see Josh here as well, as long as he doesn't bottle it as well. Khalifa, I don't think he's going to get Glock, unfortunately, on the final lap, unless some miracle happens. Calzo, again, I swear to God, he's been having bad luck thrown at him, but somehow he's got P6. I think he'll be pretty happy with his result. He's exactly where he started, no penalties, as Carl goes side by side on Larkin on the final lap. Fair play to Larkin, but Carl is definitely going to fight back as he heads towards turn 2 and turn 3. This is where the magic is going to happen. Carl is going to try and go a lunge into turn 4. A little bit of a contact there. They're trying to leave as much room as they can, but if there was any more turning, there probably would have been damage or contact. Is Carl going to try and move into turn 5? I thought he was, but he does not, unfortunately. But fantastic moves from the both of them. But let's follow Netsky as he comes on to the final corner. He wins in Spain, and he wins round 6 of the championship and extends his championship lead. Nikita had a bad result last week, but he forgets about that bad result and gets another podium in P2. But biggest surprise, ERT Josh has some bad luck, but he gets one of his first podiums of the season. He had a pre-season race win, but he definitely deserves a podium after this one. Glock finishes in P5. Khalifa in P5. Calzo, will come across the line in 6th position. A good result for him. Who's going to get P7? I think it's going to be Larkin on the line, and Carl bins it. Luckily, he doesn't do a Khalifa and bins it in the wall, so that's good news. Fatality, though, we're just going to wait for Arnold to cross the line, but Fatality finished 11th last week. He gets 10th this week. More points to his name. That is good news for him, I have to say, considering that he had 4 races with 0 points. He's on a point streak right now, and luckily I did not jinx him there. He's going to be ahead of J-Luke at this race, so he's going to be 18th in the standings. So fair play to the Haas driver. He's not near the bottom anymore. You know, good result from him. But the man of the night belongs to Netsky.
Yeah, it's been a lot of entertaining battles, and I think Lakitu does jump back up into 2nd position, but the gap between Netsky and 2nd position, well, obviously increases. It was 1 point going in. It's now going to be double digits, so that is well, we see Lakitu last season had a similar advantage, so can Netsky turn a 2nd into 1st come the end of the season? But he was 1st today.
And he gets the fastest lap point as well, so he gets the maximum points, which is a ideal finish to his day. So we got Netsky in 1st, Lakitu in 2nd, Josh in 3rd, Glock in 4th, Khalifa, after starting 14th, finishes in 5th, Calzo in 6th, Larkin in 7th, Konzo in 8th, Carl in 9th, and Fatality rounds up your top 10. Arnold, being your last finisher, gets the final point. And since there's only 11 finishers, Arnold gets an extra point as well. So he gets 3 points because he gets the fastest lap outside the top 10 because he's the only one outside the top 10. So there you go. That's a huge bonus for Arnold. And then all the other people that finished unfortunately have retired from P12 downwards. So there we go. So here comes the time of the stream to choose our drivers of the day. And I have to say, we got quite a lot of candidates. I'm going to find it hard to choose one, unfortunately. But that's always a good thing, I have to say, with everyone having some good races. But, Matt, who is your driver of the day and what would you like to ask him?
Yeah, I think, as you say, there is quite a few candidates. I've got one or two off the top of my head, and I'm going to have to do it. I'm going to have to go for the obvious choice, which the game also said. So Khalifa gets my vote today, and the question I'm going to ask him is, are your days of the undercut over now after this performance, or was this just a one-off?
Yeah, that's a good question as well. And I usually go for the race winner, but since Netsky kept dominating and he started the race from pole, he couldn't really do much, really. He absolutely dominates. So, my drive of the day is going to be Khalifa's teammate and ERT compatriot Josh, after getting a really impressive P3. We was not expecting. He pulled the undercut perfectly on Glock. Actually, he got ahead potentially in the pit stop. Actually, no, he got the undercut. Scrap that. But he got the undercut. His previous best result was a P6. So, you know, that was pretty good for him. So my question to him as well, are we starting to see the form that we saw in the pre-season race? And can you keep up this form for the rest of the season? Well done on the podium. So your drivers of the day nominations are Khalifa and Josh, and you'll be able to vote for that once the polls go live early tomorrow morning. And it's going to be a close call, I have to say as well. Looking at the stats, it's Fatality's best result with a 10th place, Josh's best result with a 3rd place, and Noah's worst result with a 13th place. His previous worst result was 12th, so not very good as well. Fair play to a majority of the guys that kept it penalty free, but there's a few drivers that did not, so hopefully they will keep it clean next week as we head to the home of the Tifosi next week. We head to Monza. So for Lakitu, he's going to hope that he has one place better next week in Monza for his home track. And for Rafa's sake, let's hope he turns up next week to help his teammate. So thank you very much for joining us. Once again, make sure you check our sponsors, Next Level Racing, Liam RBS, Vespertine, 3M Sim Racing, ERT, and also Time to Print 3D. Don't forget you can get 20% off Keyring with the latest track of the week using the code ONEHUB. Thanks again to Matt for joining me in the commentary box as always.
Yep, thank you for having me. Once again, it's been a great race as always, and can't wait for the next one. As you said, at the home of the speed, and Italy's going to be a great race. I can feel it now.
Yeah, I can feel it as well. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. I'm looking forward to that one, and I'm sure you are as well. So that's all the tears done for the night now, so I can let you enjoy the rest of your evening. Have a good one, everybody, and we'll see you next week. Same time at Harper State UK time, just before that, though, for the Italian Grand Prix. Have a good evening, everybody, and good night.